Hey, Kevin Cope, thanks for taking 15 minutes this morning to talk to my class and some potential students. And so, Kevin, we were just talking. You graduated a few years ago. When did you graduate?
I think it was 2018.
2018.
That's about right.
And have you been with the same company ever since 2018?
I have. Yep.
So I
MiTek.
guess here's my first official question on the list. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Kevin Cope, 35. Went to Ranken. Took what was it called back then? IWT, Internet and Web-Based Technology.
Yeah.
Um, with Evan, with Mr. G here, and let's see. Finished. Started working at MiTek. It's a subsidiary company of Berkshire Hathaway, and basically just dominates the construction industry. With Started off with gang nail plates, things that hold trusses together in houses, and when people buy the truss plates, they get access to the software. And a lot of our software helps design engineers, professional engineers, I guess, design different aspects of a house in CAD, and we just provide services all around that, and then some. But that's the area I mostly work in with MiTek.
So I believe it's MiTek.
Yeah, it's like they took a long time ago. It stands for middle tech. It's not high tech or low tech. They call it middle tech for middle technology. They really brought like computing into the building world.
Nice.
So
And
they were excited about that.
So you write software for the construction industry.
Pretty much, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and you've been doing that since you graduated in 2018. So that's
Going
a
on 4
really
years with the company.
unique. That's a unique thing, especially comparing you to some of the other graduates I've had, and we can speak to this. But I think you're really happy at MiTek, and that's kind of kept you. That's kept you there since you've graduated.
Yeah, it's more than what I do. It's the people I've worked with and the attitude of the company. They're real big on taking you in, keeping you, making you a subject matter expert. Rather than high turnover or anything. It's more it's a very, very niche place to work. So it's important that they get people that want to stay there. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I got there, because I told them, hey, I'm brand new. I don't want to jump around to a bunch of different companies to max out how much I make. I want to stay. I want to be good at something. So
Yeah,
and they liked that.
that's awesome. And so they invested in you, and you made a commitment to them.
Right. Yep. I noticed like lots of the people that work there, you talk to almost anybody there, they've been there 10 plus years, so, and that was a really good sign for me. I was like, okay.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And so you're working at home. I see this is your home office, and you kind of mentioned before we hit record that you might be going back into the office. Have you been home since COVID?
Oh yeah. Yep. Been home the whole time. They tried to do some, hey, let's see if we can get people back in the office. Who wants to come in? But nobody wanted to wear masks. I think we were there for a day. I think I went back to the office for maybe one day, and then the next day there was an email, hey, so and so, or somebody's had COVID, just stay home. So
Yeah.
some companies are trying to get back in too early, and
It seems a lot of people, some really favor the work from home, some prefer to be in the office. Where do you fall in that?
I really, really like working from home. But I see the value in having everybody together in the office, especially the way that MiTek's kind of structured is they really want people talking with each other, getting together. They're really big on people from all over the world sharing ideas.
Yeah.
So they try to have events all the time, like, hey, in the cafeteria, and our building is gorgeous. I mean, if you just Google MiTek Chesterfield, you'll see it looks like the Avengers Tower on the inside. It's just gorgeous. But yeah, I mean, they really push to have food trucks show up, and they do little events where they have local bakeries come in and put a bunch of cupcakes in the what's it called, cafeteria, just to kind of get people to flock together and share ideas and talk about what teams they're on, and just foster that I guess like family style workplace.
That's cool to bring people together and have have the different teams all working together and communicating and
Right. They say they do it to prevent silos. They don't want silos because so niche. Like I'm on one team that does one thing, and there's another team that does something completely differently, And I don't have to know about what they do or understand what they do to do my job, but they want us to get together and talk about, like, oh, you're on the workflow team. What do you do on that team? Like, oh, you're with mezzanine. What does mezzanine do? They want us to get together and break these silos down, so nobody's just standing there inside of a silo, like, can't see anybody else around.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just Googled searched MiTek Chesterfield and showed off the Avengers headquarters there.
It's nice, right?
It is nice. Pretty nice office space there. So,
Yeah.
what would be your job title?
Software engineer.
Software engineer. Nice. It's an awesome title. And we kind of already spoke about your employer and when you graduated. What languages do you primarily work with?
Primarily C# and SQL
Okay.
have been the two heavy hitters where I work at and what I work on.
Well, that's kind of perfect for this class because we're in the middle of learning. Literally today, Kevin, we are lecturing over classes for the first time.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Blueprints of objects.
there you go. So
I already know what he's going to say.
So well, I hope so. So what would be like, hey, people I don't know, learning C# is really important because, what would be your sales pitch on why it's important to pay attention to lecture today?
It's powerful. It's an awesome, powerful language. You can do anything with it, honestly. That's pretty much it for me. I mean, just that's the best benefit of it is that it can be used in so many different applications, so many different ways, and it's just extremely powerful.
I think that's. If you really break that down, you said a lot concisely there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good. And so C# and SQL, which we do also have in this class. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And they fit together so perfectly too.
Now, do you primarily work with like a web interface, or is it more of a desktop app or mobile app, or what kind of apps are you building?
Well, on my team on Workflow, we have 10 to 12 different components that we use. So I've written Windows services that just run in the background on Windows, as like a service. Right now, we're writing a bunch of RESTful web APIs and using Blazor WebAssembly for a few different things. Blazor's basically writing, it's kind of like MVC, but
okay.
Less Java or less JavaScript.
Yep.
More C#.
Yep. So you've done everything from Windows services to the web.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Web services, RESTful APIs, yeah. Server/client applications where you have server side for something and a client side application that a client installs, and we manage how the information goes back and forth.
It might be interesting for my class to hear this because it's like, hey, we're building these basically Windows Forms apps, right, using C#, but realizing that you can write C# for many other kinds of applications. Not just Windows Form apps. Yes, we're learning these fundamentals with Windows Forms, but you can apply these fundamentals to Windows services, to web services, to all these kinds of different applications that you can build.
Oh yeah, stuff without even a UI. Like these Windows services, they run without a UI on them at all. It's just going. It's checking a database row and it's chugging along.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. So, do you have like a favorite software that you've worked on in your tenure now, or are they all about equal?
I'd have to say the primary ones that I use, C# and SQL, have been the most useful in my career so far.
But as far as like applications that you've built, do you have a favorite app?
Yeah, we'll call it PDF services. A professional engineer will design trusses in this CAD application. So like bunch of lines and shapes they'll use to make a truss. And then one of our services we offer at MiTek is this professional engineer will send their truss drawings over in a format, in a file format. And the thing that I kind of wrote when I first got here with help from a mentor, it was called PDF services. And it takes that drawing, reads it in bits and bytes, and then it redraws it in a PDF form. So it takes it from one and turns it into another. And that's basically the service I wrote. That handles we'll call them trust drawings. It handles about 1 million trust drawings a month. So the system, it processes upwards of like 12 million trust drawings a year.
So the software that you wrote handles 12 million jobs a year.
Yep. Well, drawings. I'll say drawings. There can be lots of drawings in a job. So we'll just say drawings. But yeah, about 12 million drawings, and a lot of money for the company.
So it's not sporadically used. It is used every day and makes
Oh yeah.
It's like you said, it's making your company a lot of money.
It's bread and butter. Yeah, definitely. It makes a lot of money, but
that is pretty cool.
And it's easy to maintain. That's our Windows service, and that was a project that they used to onboard me. They were like, "Hey, we need to rewrite this legacy application that we have that's old and that's written in old code. Let's redo that."
Nice. That is pretty cool, man. I really like that. So what's a day like for you as far as your work life is concerned?
8 to 5. Wake up. Sometimes just roll right out of bed and go straight to work, which is right here, right outside the bedroom. So normal work day. Let me clear my throat. Hold on. All right. So I have a couple of meetings every day. Like today, my first one's at 9 a.m. But normally, we use the Agile framework, which is, we have daily stand-up meetings to let everybody know, what have I worked on since our last, it's called a scrum. What have we worked on since our last scrum meeting or stand-up? What am I working on right now? Do I have any blocking issues? And what will I be working on, moving forward? And as the scrum master, I was the scrum master for a while for our team, so I would have to run these meetings and listen for certain keywords. Like if somebody says, I'm blocked here and I can't, I'm having trouble banging my head trying to get, past this issue, I can ask the team, hey, is there anybody else who can help Michael or Sean or someone with the issue that they're having with that, and just kind of pair people up to be like, hey, why don't you reach out to Sean after this and you guys work on that together.
Yep.
So that's our scrum, our stand-up meeting. I'm still learning, so I still have mentoring that I do about once or twice a week. I'll have mentoring with somebody who's way smarter than I am. And we just basically our job is to keep our project managers in the loop on what they can tell stakeholders to expect, and that's a day-to-day for me is just the balance of coding. We do about 6 hours of coding a day, or I'm expected to do about 6 hours of coding in my I have a 9-hour workday, but 6 hours of coding. They leave time for a couple hours for meetings, but mostly it's a balance of meeting your obligations as the developer and developing the things they're asking you to, whether it's bug fixes or features in the code, and then basically keeping your team appraised of what you're doing and how long it's going to take. That's the balance we walk.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. So you wake up, you got some meetings to talk about where you're at and what you're working on, and then you go to work for 6 hours, and you've got a task list, I'm assuming, of things to do, and you check off as many of those things you can do in the allotted time.
Yeah, and like I said, time isn't really even all that important. I mean, it is, but we quote everything, we estimate everything. So it's almost like you're a contractor.
Yeah.
Because project managers, they really don't know the technical aspect or the technical side of things. They just know what stakeholders want, and they know how to tell me, these are the requirements. This is what I expect from this. These are our acceptance criteria. Yeah. We'll call this thing done when we have these 4 things working. And they don't know how to do that or how to even really talk about it at a technical level. So we all discuss these things, walk through them together, make sure that everybody has a good idea of what's being asked by this project manager. And then I'll say, okay, sure, that means I've got to do this here in this component. I've got to do these 4 things in the database, write this script. Give me about 4 hours, or give me 6, or give me 5 days. It depends on the ask of what they're asking.
Yeah. And
then just burning your hours, making sure that, and sometimes your estimate might be 12 hours, but you'll get halfway into this thing and say, oh wow, half of this is in Visual Basic or C++. You just let somebody know, hey, my initial estimate's going to be way off. This is going to be more like 4 or 5 days, and it's great working in this field. It's not like there's not fires to be put out all the time, and there's not, somebody needs you right now or needs this right now. It's it's kind of relaxed.
Nice. I like that. So, if I'm remembering right, you got this job at a Ranken job fair.
I did on accident. Yeah, yeah.
Can you? Yeah.
I
What do you
saw.
mean by on accident? How do you accidentally find a
So,
job?
well, I went there. I was looking around at the Ranken job fair. I think it was in that automotive building, and I had never been in there before, so I was just in the wrong section, and I saw engineering or something like that, and I was like, software engineer. Here we go. I'll just look around in here, and this guy, Jason, one of the HR generalists at MiTek, he was there, and he was actually like, "Hey, man, come on over." He flagged me down, and I walked over, and he's like, "Are you an engineer?" And they were actually looking for professional engineers, so architects, people who build and design trusses, or people who can like look over truss drawings and put their stamp on it and approve it. And I was like, "Well, software engineer." And he said, "Well, we have a whole software engineering department. That's not what I'm here looking for today, but I can pass on your resume." And I didn't think much of it.
Yeah.
But then I got a phone call, and it happened to be the guy who would become my boss, Ray. And I was actually a big project not a big project, but for Ray, I was a big project. Because when I started working at MiTek, currently they weren't accepting anybody without a bachelor's degree or 2 years experience in the field. So I interviewed really well with Ray over the phone, and then once again with Jason, and didn't hear back for about maybe a month. And I was thinking, okay, well, I guess I didn't get the job. But then I get a phone call, and they said, "Hey, have you gotten any offers? Has anybody offered you anything? Because we're still interested." And they explained that they were creating a role for me because currently, to be a software engineer one with the company, like I said, either a bachelor's degree or 2 years experience. So they were like, "We're interested. We're just trying to see if this will work out with HR, with everything." So they created a junior software engineer role that I was the first to fill at MiTek, and they assigned me a mentor, and I got my 2 years experience, moved on from there.
Well, one theme that I would apply here, because you talk about the barriers to entry, and some companies I would say, in my opinion, would be that's a little bit more of a traditional way of hiring, is to say, hey, you have to have this, for example, bachelor's degree or industry experience. And I feel like those walls have come down over time, but the point that's worth making here is don't let that stop you from looking or even applying, right? So, so for example, had you not applied to this company, now they had a barrier to entry which said 4-year degree. You didn't have that 4-year degree. You didn't have the experience, but you still applied. You went through the process.
And they wanted me, yeah. I mean,
and they wanted you, and they saw your skills and where you were, and they wanted to work with you.
And yeah, I explained to him right off the bat. I think that's something to explain. Don't feel bad that you don't have that experience. Or embarrassed. Like I was very upfront and forward when I met these guys. I was like, I'm green in the field. I've never had a programming job in the field at all, but I'm looking to get started. That's what people are looking for. Your willingness. It's not what you know. It's like how much you're willing to learn.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Because I told them I want to learn your way. Can you show me your way? So that's almost better than having somebody who's got way more experience in the field. They have bad habits. They have ways that they learned how to do things, I don't know, the wrong way, or just not the way that this company wants to hire you. So
yeah, that's a good tip. So so now that you've been in the industry for a few years, what have you done to have success in the industry?
Listen to the people that are smarter than me. Basically, don't be afraid to ask or say, you don't understand. That's a big thing. When I first got there, I'd pretend like, yeah, I get it. I totally get what you're talking about, when I really didn't. And it doesn't lead to good places, because then, you just get nervous and, I don't know, not better. So basically, my mentors have really helped me a long way. I've had a couple of really good mentors, and just a strong team, really. Just relying on your team, knowing when to reach out for help when you get stuck, and knowing who to reach out to. These people aren't just your teammates; they're resources. They're really good resources.
So the main takeaway, the first thing you said, I'm just going to repeat it: don't be afraid to ask questions.
Absolutely, yeah, that's number one. Or say, I don't know what you mean, or I don't know what you're talking about. Because a lot of these people in this industry, they have the curse of knowledge, and they'll go to town on a subject that they know, and kind of leave you in the dust. And you kind of got to be like, hey, I don't really know what you're talking about.
Yeah, slow down
you're
here.
Like, you're way up here. Yep.
Yeah, very cool.
At least getting started.
Very cool. So, kind of one of the last things here before we wrap up, I think setting some salary expectations is always a helpful thing. As far as what were your expectations as you got into the field? Did you meet your expectations? Did you exceed by your expectations? Or what advice would you give for anyone getting out into this industry around salary?
So, I was looking up, salaries when I was first trying to get the job at MiTek, and I didn't really know what to expect. I was seeing these really, really, really large numbers, and I was like, "There's no way." But I definitely met my expectation. I was hoping for like 40 a year. Is when I got out of Ranken. I was hoping to at least get 40, and even with this created position of junior software engineer at like a lower level, I actually started with the company. It was 4 years ago. I started at 58. It was the starting salary. They overnighted me an offer, which was impressive. This company is just like, hey, we'll FedEx you overnight this. It was like a packet. They were like, just go over that and tell us what you think. And since then, it's I don't know what software engineer ones get hired at MiTek, but at a junior software engineer, I was hired at 58. And
that's kind of, I don't know if you saw my eyes, but it was kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, it was really, I didn't expect it. I was expecting, maybe 20 an hour, where I didn't know what to expect really, but
yeah.
But yeah, it was 58, and it's gone way up since then.
Nice. Well, that's congratulations. That's a heck of that's a good salary, and dude, I'm just happy for you. It seems like you are happy. It seems like you've launched a career that so many people in this classroom are looking to do exactly what you've done. So I'm super happy for you. Congrats on your career, and thanks for taking a little time. I'll open it up to the class. You guys got any questions for Kevin? Yes, sir.
Earlier, he was talking about how he had an interview over the phone.
Yeah.
He said he did really well over the interview on the phone. What
Yep.
did he say to do well on that interview?
So I don't know if you can hear that. I'm just going to repeat it. Basically, what did you do during the interview that made you land the job?
So we had about, I think I had about 5 or 6 different interviews with MiTek before I was hired. The first one was over the phone, and that was with the person trying to hire me. His name was Ray. I feel the interview went well. I don't think I did well in the interview. I just think it really went well. I was just open and honest when he asked questions. I didn't try to compensate for areas where I didn't know. If he asked me a question that I didn't know, I'd say, you know what, I'm still green, but I'd love to learn that. So just not being intimidated in those interviews is a big thing, because sometimes they'll ask you some big questions. I think I lucked out and had a really good interviewer, and he kind of latched onto some of my previous experience. Like, oh, you've been a server and a bartender. Let's say you had a customer came in that said this or did this, and you couldn't do that for him. What would you say, or how would you handle it? So yeah, he asked some really good questions. Or you were in the military. What was it like when this or that? So really, it was just. I think I was just lucky that I had a really good interviewer. But honestly, it was. It just went off without a hitch. Smiling when you talk on those interviews, even though they can't see your face if you're over the phone, that helps a lot. Being friendly, being easy to talk to,
Cool. Hey, it made me think of a question. So, remind me of your age right now.
35.
You're 35, and
yeah, I'll
so
be 36 this year.
You were coming to Ranken late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, I was about 28, I think.
You were 28. And so what was that like? What was that experience like? Most of our students are 18 to 25, so you were a little bit older than the average student in the class, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you had a little life experience. I think you were a bartender when you came to school?
Yeah, I was serving, bartending. I had just gotten out of the Army. I was using my GI Bill. Yeah, I'm infamous for getting started late on things.
There you go.
So I joined the military late when I was 24. 25 instead of 18, 17, most people do. But it was different. I saw a lot of people that I won't say they were taking what they had for granted, but I mean, if you still live at home and you don't have bills and you're going to school, that's awesome. It's so much less than when I was going to school. I was bartending, I was serving, I had like a couple of different responsibilities at a job. I was paying bills at a house, and it was tough, but I knew exactly what I was going to school for. I knew exactly the reasons I was going to school, as I should put it that way.
Yeah.
Because I was tired of serving and bartending. I was, I wanted money. I wanted a good career. But it was different. It's helpful at that age because you have a little bit more insight, and also it was like my second or third time attending college. So
Yeah.
so I kind of knew what to expect,
Yeah.
but really just you're there, you're paying the money to get the education, really soak it in. You get this chance, it's really expensive too. So
Yeah, so if I again, I'm just listening and trying to make sure like I can repeat it in a way that makes sense in my mind. But basically, you were zoned in. Like you knew the mission, you knew the goal, you knew the objective. Maybe some of your classmates, maybe were goofing off a little bit more than you were. You were dialed in, man. You were like, hey, I'm gonna hit the books. I'm gonna do my best. I'm here for a reason. And so probably being a little bit older helps you to view that differently.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it was my money. It was like I earned the GI Bill, and I got this one chance to spend it. So I'm gonna get it right. It's really what it was. It's when it's your money and it's your sweat, blood, and tears you put into it. It's means a little more,
Cool.
I guess.
Cool. So I guess my last question, and I'll leave it open for the class too. But my last question is, you've been out in the industry now 4 or 5 years. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? You happy with the industry? You gonna stay? You see yourself here?
I don't know about. Well, yeah. I mean, in the industry, absolutely. Not sure if it's going to be MiTek or another place,
Sure.
or still with MiTek. I'm not sure. Could be. And this part of the industry leads to so many different things. If you get into programming and you're like, man, I really don't like programming, you can be SQA, software quality analyst. You test it. You test the changes. You just become a user of the software. You can, break things and see where it's broken. Let's say you don't like that. You can become a manager. If you don't like management, you can become a project manager or a product owner. And it's just there's so many different avenues to take. Software engineer it's a great one because you're right down there in the technical weeds and the actual implementation of everything. But there's also, if that's not for you, you can get different views of what you're working on by just switching roles. They were trying to shift me in for a little bit. They shifted me into a hybrid, like a Scrum Master / project manager role while coding. And it's interesting to get that kind of perspective.
Yeah.
So I always thought, if I crash and burn on coding and I just, never learn that new language that comes out or something, I could always be a project manager, or move on to other things like that.
So you're happy in the industry, you'll be in the industry, but you just never know. There's so many opportunities.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey man, just want to say thanks again. I thought that was you answered these questions, very well. I think you did great. Thank you so much for taking the time.
No problem. Thanks, G.
Yep. Hey, good seeing you. Take care.
Take care.